Welcome back, my friends. This is the question number 8 of 100. And the question is, why does desire never feel completely satisfied? Uh, Interesting question. Why there is no end to desire? Why can we ever find, is there such a place called happily ever after? That is, you you will desire something and you will completely satisfied. There has not been a single person who has desired something and have found that happily ever after. So that kind of fairy tale stories and Disney movies might be good for children and good for some sort of temporary holiday kind of activities, but why this desire is not never ending, is never ending pursuit. Desire can never be completely satisfied. So actually it's a thirst. Yeah, that is why desire is a mind that is thirsty. It is a mind that is not quenched. Yeah. So Buddha's Buddha's term for desire, yeah, in Pali it's called Tanha. Tanha in Pali it's called thirst. It's that sort of that state of desperation. It is a mind that is seeking some water. Yeah, so thirsty. So Tanha means that thirst. So it's kind of, no matter what you do, you have not quenched your thirst. Yeah. And that desire is a thirst for lasting happiness. Yeah. It is a state of finding the sort of a ending of desire. But instead of finding that sort of ending of desire, what we have all got endowed with is one desire goes away and it gets in its place, it proliferates, it generates millions of other desire. Yeah. So you can test it yourself and think that, okay, I'm going to make this $1 million in my bank account, and that's it. I will never have to think about doing any work in this life, and I will be happy forever because that is enough. I need $20,000 per year. That means this $1 million would be sufficient for 50 years. I only survive for another 40 years. That's it. I've got 10 years of margin. So that $1 million should be, in theory, should satisfy the desire completely. It should put a full stop. Yeah. But what happened? We don't. Nobody has been able to, uh, find that sort of that kind of state that they have been able to find that sort of a complete quenching of their thirst, their desire. Because this desire is not something, is not, it is not something that is out there, something that you achieve and that that desire vanishes. It is something we are carrying with us in the back of our mind. It is a resident thought. It is our constant companion that is kind of that is sprouting all this desire. So only way to be free of desire is to find the root, reflect on where this desire arise, how they, what caused that desire to arise in first place, and what is I just mentioned about this pattern or the DNA of this mind, and how the desire, how craving, the tanha I mentioned, to arise. What are the kind of underlying structure that we need to understand? If we do not understand this underlying structure, underlying mechanism holistically, then this desire is never gonna satisfy, and quench our uh, that thirst. Yeah, that our always that sort of mind that is never at peace. Yeah, so that is what the desire in its most prevalent form is. And what's more, this desire might be seen as innocuous, nothing serious. It's just a light hint of craving. But the desire without understanding what is this sort of end, what is this sort of end of this desire, then this desire will become slightly elevated and becomes an agitation, which is now it has been escalated. Now this agitation is more than desire. Now there is more unease. While you were desiring, you had some sort of a longing, some kind of you were more bit worried, bit unsure. Now this desire has come to manifest as agitation. Now it has lost your peace of mind. Now you are no more only confined to the certain desire. You are anxious, you are desperate. This agitation is now you have become uh, sort of ill, or you are not at ease at all. Yeah. So this is another manifestation of the desire. So that this desire has to be seen through this kind of a mind that is all these are product of mind, and it's not something that you can find by achieving your goal. Yeah, so that is one way of I do find it quite relevant, that an example of mirage. Yeah, so you see there is an object which can quench your thirst, that a spot of water or somewhere in a long distance, and as you progress, and that distance goes even further. So that is an illusion of that mind creates that sort of illusion that once I achieve that goal, my desire will end. But since you are projecting, you are looking outside, not observing, not being able to see what is that mind doing, then that is why the complete satisfaction is uh, is never achieved. Yeah. So uh, it's like I have seen some cartoons or somewhere that they put some carrots in front of donkeys. Yeah. So it's kind of, and that donkey will look at carrot, and that is how they propel the sort of their carts. Yeah. So that donkey is in under that mirage, that once that donkey propels a little bit by 1 foot or 6 inches, then that donkey will get that carrot. Yeah. So it's kind of, this is how our mind is propelling us to do and react it to our projection of mind by seeking more and more. So that is a typical state. So it already reveals that illusory nature of chasing that sort of desire by means of another desire is not going to be. It is just, it's a futile enterprise. Yeah. So if you, and we need to look at this objectively, and we need to look at this through the process of development of mind. Yeah. So and our mind, the although mind does not follow the nature of the law of nature like gravity or Newton's law, but if I look at fairly closely, looks like mind also follows some of the laws of nature. Yeah. So one of the laws of Newton's law is that, I think it's the third law of motion. And Newton says that for each action, there is equal amount of reaction. Yeah. So this applies very well to the state of mind. That means the more you desire, the more you put an action, and there is equal amount of reaction. So that means the more your mind start to react, it will start to bounce back, and the mind will start to create even more desire. Yeah. So that means it will backfire. Yeah. So that is a very counterintuitive. We try to imagine something, and we desire something. Instead of getting a satisfaction, what we get is, we get even more dissatisfaction, even more anger, even more uh, upset, a sort of a state of mind. Instead of being happy, we don't know what we do, and we start to get the exact opposite. Yeah. So in the very very state of deeper deepest investigation of this mind, and if we go to what the Buddha said about that, Buddha went to this discovery to the very very end. And when Buddha went to the sort of extreme depth of this mind, and Buddha found a deepest paradox of our existence. And what the Buddha said is, this world that is in Udana, in one of the early Pali texts, and there the Buddha says, this conceived world, this anguished world, uh, which delights in the sort of a desire, uh, is uh, is given to what is called a so-called thing called contact. Yeah. And what the Buddha says, in whatever the way one conceives of, thereby it turns otherwise. So this is what the Buddha found was whatever way we conceived, I want this, exactly what he wanted, it turns exactly opposite. Yeah. So Buddha said that is in Udana, in whatever way we conceive of, thereby, because of that very conceiving nature, it turns otherwise. Yeah. So this world delights in conceiving, it is in a submerged in conceiving, and precisely this holy life is being lived to end this conceiving. Yeah. So I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, but in essence, is this world is illusory. This mind is living in illusion. It is in living in delusion. Though as soon as we start to throw that sort of desire, throw that sort of intention, throw that sort of imagination, that very act of imagination, it start to generate that sort of. It does not give it the result you want, but it gives you the exactly opposite of what you wanted. So that immediately makes this existence, this experience, not a good place. Yeah. So it is, that means it's like you are hitting something on the wall, and it just, the more the harder you hit the wall, the harder it will bounce back, and you will end up with sort of a, you better step out, otherwise it can cause more harm to you. And what is this sort of a, now what is the, now we know the problem. Buddha has said that this desire, this sort of a hint of reaction, that kind of a light hint of craving or agitation, throw anything you like to this mind. Yeah. Any kind of anything you throw to this mind, and you, whether you like it or not, this is the reality. What you get is not what you want. Yeah. You may want anything you like, you want happily ever after, you like, all this sort of good stuff that you want to be endowed with, and the bad stuff you want to get rid of. That is not what you're going to get. Yeah. So this is the deepest in a kind of a uh, problem of our existence, is this existence. This existence is an illusion. Yeah. But that is why you better seek way out of this existence. Yeah. So that is now Buddha did show that problem, which he showed the problem and he found a way out. And about the way out, and what is the way out of this dilemma, way out of this trap? And now I will not go into the actual process, actual part of practice, because that is going to be a quite long-winded process. So I would probably have to defer this until I go to the uh, other chapters. But essentially, I talked about jhana and how to arrive at the state of mind which is not reactive, and so on. Yeah. So because the path itself is a major topic. So let me just uh, give that sort of a illustration of what is the way out. Now we have found, I gave it the Newton's law of sort of every action there is a reaction, and that's sort of things which Buddha's. I gave that sort of a similar analogy from the Buddha as well. That's kind of I thought these are quite interesting. Uh, Maybe Newton copied Buddha's statement, maybe. So what the Buddha said about that is, now you know what the Buddha said is that this reality, this experience is like a beam of light. Suppose there is a beam of light and you put a surface and there is a beam of light. If you put a surface, that beam of light will hit this phone, then it will start to project, it will bounce back. That means the, and this is in the, it's in Samyutta Nikaya, and it's a really good sutta. So I cannot remember the exact name. I think it's called If There Is a Lost. The sutta is called. Yeah. So what the Buddha says that, and Buddha gives that to an example to a bhikkhu and said, look, there is a sun beam of light coming from the east. And look, if that beam of light is coming, where does it land? And Buddha says, where, where? And the bhikkhu says, that beam of light will land on the western wall, Bhante. Yeah. Good bhikkhu. If there was no western wall, where does it land? It will land on the earth. Okay, great. Now take out that earth. Where does it land? It will land on the water, because that means it's going to land in the ocean. Now, if you take the water out, the ocean out, where does it land? It will land on the empty space. If you take out that empty space, where does it land? It will land nowhere. Yeah. So similarly, bhikkhu, is that this awareness is dependent on reflection, on what is called our lust, our some sort of support for that sort of a, to consume that kind of a information, or that sort of product of mind. So if we, as long as we feed it back with our reaction, if we provide that sort of platform, then that kind of, that action of light, or that sort of desire, that action of light, lust, that kind of, let's say the beam of light is a lust, yeah, then it will always be supported. It will always find as a platform for it to land, yeah. So, and what that means is that that desire found its footing because you provided the footing. You provided that sort of a reflection. You provided that sort of material for that light to hit. Yeah. So, and Buddha says that is why, in a similar manner, uh, any of these phenomena, they will find support in, as long as you have got mind to support it. Yeah, the mind to allow it to establish. Yeah. So, and in that sutta, Buddha talks about the something very special process called unestablished consciousness. Yeah. And that is like a, you got, here you go. This is a, you heard a sound. That sound is a product of two parts, two parts leaning to each other and creating that sort of, the spark. And because of their coming together, the phenomenon has become a reality. Now, if you take out this dependency and if you allow only this one hand, that phenomenon simply doesn't manifest. Yeah. So, in a similar manner, if we are not giving our fuel of attention to whatever arises in the mind, if we step out, if we relax, and if we if we do not project, and if we do not give support to that sort of any desire, any intention, any kind of impulses within the mind, and any bubble that arises, as soon as that bubble arises, you pay attention to that bubble will start to put that sort of a, it becomes an event. But if you do not pay attention, if you don't allow, if you allow it to be, do not feed it with your reaction, with your attention, then it will simply evaporate. There will be no reaction. Yeah. There is only an action, but there is no reaction. And that action, because of that not engagement, no support, it simply do not remain, it does not create the chain reaction, because you have not provided that sort of uh, support for that phenomena to prolong. Yeah. So mind is exactly in that state. Yeah. So only way to make an end to all this sort of a process, to to find a complete end of desire, which you might want to say that complete satisfaction. Satisfaction is, it implies there is something to be gained. But if you let go of desire, that very letting go of desire, by not giving your fuel of projection, fuel of your attention, fuel of your reaction, then it will fade away because it didn't find the support from your mind giving that sort of fuel of attention, so on. So this is uh, uh, this is the crux of dependent origination. It's that means at every moment of our experience, the process of abandoning, the process of not reacting, the process of letting them go is gonna make this just evaporate. They all just melt away. So this is the Buddha's path. Is there is, and this is how we test this in the practice itself. Is any idea, any imagination, any kind of philosophy we can think of, any, let's analyze this desire, and this look at this desire into the atomic level. So we have got desire for a bigger house. Yeah. A desire for $1 million bank account. I mentioned that. Okay. If you have $1 million in a pension pot, you got it. your whole life is sorted for 50 years. Yeah. So, and if that kind of desire is what we are kind of aiming for, then this this is now we think that that kind of thing, like a mm, money in a bank account or big mansion, all these sort of things, as if we are these are the things that will completely put them, enter your mind and eliminate that desire completely, and it does work. These sort of things does work as a medicine to eliminate desire. That is not the case. It's those desire is that's kind of that state of mind that is not able to see that these are created by our imagination. Yeah, we got that sort of become we found that sort of a we imagine that there is such a thing called happiness, by living in a bigger house we'll be happy, by and having that and money we will be happy. So these are kind of what is called relative notions, ideas that these are kind of giving that sort of concept that those are the solution, but the actual solution is what is your mind is creating that sort of temptation, and the way to let go of that sort of desire is to find where the mind is uh, creating that sort of infinite loop. Why this process of desiring is becoming more and more, turning into agitation, turning into that sort of obsession, turning into that sort of emergency and so on. Yeah. So it's a process of seeing that sort of where this process is becoming more and more amplified. Step back and look at the mind and find that sort of state of mind where this desire can be put into end by seeing the where they originate. Yeah. So that is what we have to, obviously, this is a way for us to be free of desire completely. Yeah. And I do not deny our everyday reality that is the we are not kind of completely disentangled with the sort of uh, modern day needs, that we need to have a car, we need to live in a house. And if you can live in a bigger house, why not? Yeah. If you can drive a better car, why not? Yeah. So you can look at them not through the lens of kind of obsessed mind, but through your needs. Is it really the case that you need to live in a bigger house, or you look at your affordability, you look at your reality, how much savings you have. If you got an investment and you have got surplus money, and you can comfortably sustain your living expenses, and that you can afford that, why not? Yeah, you go for that. So if you go with that sort of mind that is not agitated, with a mind that is not craving for for activities due to other ambitions, but with you can have that very neutral and easy way of fulfilling your need by looking at the looking at the reality through your balance of mind. You look at this is okay, I can afford this, and my all my financial status shows that I am more than capable of affording this sort of expanded lifestyle. In that case, yeah, you have got every right to go for that. Yeah. So when you switch in these sort of circumstances through your mind without being agitated, then there is no problem. Yeah. So you have fulfilled your desire. You wanted to and have a comfortable life, and you're living in a comfortable and happy life. If you have got all this sort of a comfortable mind, a cool mind, and all the reality that you have, uh, that shows that there's nothing wrong with your bank balance. Your income is 10 times than your expenses. Then yeah, with you have nothing. You have you can you can be satisfied in that case without overly being reactive. Yeah, you have fulfilled your needs. In that case, you have fulfilled your needs, and you have also become satisfied, because even if you manage to get that upgrade, you did not become obsessed, you did not become agitated. You simply lived in a better condition that you could afford. Yeah. So you see that there is a way, I do live in this sort of situation. I have got a very practical everyday life. I do work. I work in a very typical research and consulting industry. I do make my living through all these sort of means. So I have got a busy life, and I have got a family. So yeah, I do think that these sort of things are not uncommon for us, people like us, uh, to upgrade our lifestyle. But we just need to look at them and watch our mind, what the mind is tempting towards. If it is agitated, if it is become overly restless, then we just need to look at the reality, and find that sort of balance of mind. Then if all these realities do uh, make sense, then yeah, I think in that sense we can be satisfied and also meet our desire. Yeah. But this desire without understanding the state of mind will never satisfy uh, never provide that sort of satisfaction, because that desire is completely is untrained mind. So that is the danger. Yeah. uh, the danger is not uh, comfort or luxury. You can enjoy the luxury, but it's whether your mind is trained to settle and allow that process to be, and have that sort of a better quality of life. Yeah. So yeah, it all boils down to how you can manage your state of mind, allow that mind to settle by itself by knowing the science of mind. Yeah. So that is why, if you don't know the science of mind, that is where it is going to cause never ending, never satisfying the desire. That desire will always tend to bring more desire. Hopefully, this has been useful to you. Thank you very much.